Hello, and welcome to the Investor Guys Podcast, the ultimate podcast for serious real estate investors in the know. Join your host, Bill Barnett and Kevin Mills, as they share their expert insights, strategies, and tips to help you succeed in the world of real estate investing. Get ready to level up your investment game with the Investor Guys Podcast. And now, here are your hosts, Bill Barnett and Kevin Mills.
Hello and welcome to another edition of the Investor Guys Podcast. How you doing there, Bill?
I am blurry-eyed, but I am here.
As am I. We'll save election talk till after we know who's going to be the new president of the United States. But
that could be we could be not bringing this topic up until next year.
For another month. Yeah. It has definitely been a crazy ride for 2020 with this election, all the craziness around this election, coronavirus, just everything.
Right.
I mean, we're in November already. For those of you watching this in the future, we're in November of 2020, not quite halfway through November, but I can probably speak for everybody on the planet. We are ready for this year to be over and just move on and get out of all of this craziness. So
I haven't been drinking on New Year's Eve, and I don't know how many years. That likely will change this year. Just go away, 2020. Go.
I'll tell you what, if 2021 is anything like 2020, I think I'm going to start drinking on New Year's Eve and not stop until it changes.
Not stop. Oh, it's going to be 2021 is going to be a great year.
Yes, and you know what? I'm not complaining because I didn't have a good year. I had a great year. We relocated to Florida. I've got my family here. Financially, we're doing okay. It's just all the ancillary stuff spinning around and causing this planet to shift on its axis that's causing a problem. It's just affecting everything.
Very surprised at one of the exit polling questions last night, which I think had about a 3,000 or 4,000 person response to it, was, has the coronavirus / lockdown hurt you financially? And that 63% of the people said no. And I was very surprised by that.
That is kind of surprising, especially considering that companies like JCPenney and Lucky Brand Jeans and Steinmart and many others are filing for bankruptcy because of what
all the restaurants that have shut, all those mom and pop restaurants that have shut that will not be coming back
and mom and pop gyms and print shops and everything else. But we also heard that the gross domestic product in the last quarter, the third quarter, went up 33.1%. So
we're going to change this topic because I'm about to get off into political.
And we're probably almost close to a break here if we don't stop. What we wanted to chat about today was strategies. One of the questions that Bill and I get a lot from students is how do I know what strategy to use? How do I know what I want to do? Do I want to do cash flow? Do I want to do flips? Do I want to do pre-foreclosures? What do I want to do? So we wanted to talk about the different reasons why investors choose the strategies that they choose. And oftentimes it is out of necessity. But generally, it's driven by one of two things: either a personal preference, it's something that they like to do, or it's something that their market will support. And a lot of times it's a combination of both. So Bill, for example, he loves doing flips, and he's in a market that has flips. It supports flips. I like doing cash flow. I purchase properties in markets where cash flows make sense. So a lot of it has to do with your preference and necessity. But let's get down into that and talk about how those things can play out. And I hope you set a timer because I didn't. I'm not sure when our break is going to be. But go ahead and start with your personal experience, Bill. Tell me why you choose the strategies that you choose. Primarily, I know you work a number of different strategies, but your core focus, is that because of the location that you're in, or is it because of your preference? Is it because you've done it so long, it's what you're comfortable with? Tell us your story.
The easiest thing to look at, and when I'm working with clients, I let them know this. And it's the same thing for me. When I got started, what I needed was cash. I didn't need an extra $1,000 a month. I needed an extra $30,000 or $40,000. And so because of that particular cash flow need, and that's how I couch it, is look, when you have immediate large cash flow needs, flips are what you look at. But you're not always going to be in that position. And as that changes and you don't have those dramatic cash flow needs, then you look at, okay, now I want to look at passive income and I want to build monthly cash flow. And so then I start changing my strategy. So I really look at it as, what is it? Do I want to go buy a new car? So you got a couple of different ways to look at that. And new is a relative term, because Kevin will tell you, I don't think he does either, but I never buy a new car because I'm not going to take a 20% hit the moment I drive it off the lot. But if I'm going to buy a car that's new to me, and most of the time I'm stroking a check for that, then the way I do that is I plan ahead and go, hey, you know what? So it's November. I'd like to buy a new car around February, maybe March. And I'm looking for a property that fits my flip requirements, that says, okay, now I got $30,000 or $40,000 that I can go write a check on a car and be done with it, because I want to put my cash into non-depreciating assets when I pay for something. If I buy it on time, I want to put it on an appreciating asset. So an automobile is one of those things that I don't want to buy on time personally. Now, so again, it's a strategy. If maybe it's college money, maybe it's you need new furniture, whatever it happens to be. You got hospital bills, you got credit card bills, whatever that fill in the blank is that causes a need for cash. Then I look at that and go, okay, that's something that is going to require a flip for me. And I'll go do a flip to eliminate whatever that cash need is. On just an ongoing basis, it's now let's go out and continue to build passive income so that my bills on a monthly basis are covered by passive. Then I can do flips when the big bills come up. All right, we're a little bit over. We're going to come right back with more strategies.
Thank you for watching the Investor Guys podcast.
Absolution X, limited editions, lifestyle apparel like none other. Get yours today at absolutionx.com.
Live the resort lifestyle every day with Cayman K. The perfect pieces for every wardrobe. Shop the entire Cayman K collection and find your favorites. Find all our styles at caymank.com.
reallykevin.com. Weekly recorded coaching sessions. Learn, grow, find resources, opportunities and more. You'll find it all at reallykevin.com.
And we're back with the Investor Guys podcast. And just before the break, Bill was telling us the reasons he chose his strategies. And we were talking about the different reasons why investors choose the strategies that they choose, because it seems to be a hurdle that a lot of new investors have when they go into this. They're like, what do I want to do? What do I want to be my focus? Is one focus better than the other? And it really isn't. What is best for you is going to be what is best for the market and best for your needs. And one of the things that Bill is talking about is necessity. A lot of times investors choose a strategy based upon necessity. And like Bill, I've done exactly the same thing. I love focusing on cash flows, but I don't want to give up one of my cash flow properties. If I want to buy a car, or I want to buy an RV, or I want to buy a boat or something, I could cash out of one of these cash flow properties, but then I'm buying something that's not going to make me any money. It's going to bring me joy and happiness, but it's not going to make me any money. So why cash out of a cash flow property when I could wholesale some properties and put some money in my pocket, or I can do some flips and put some money in my pocket. And flips are properties that I see that they're going to be good deals. They're not something I want to bother with as far as cash flow. I don't think it's going to be a good cash flow strategy for me. I can do those strategies and put money in my pocket for spending money, which is what Bill was talking about. It's not just to buy an RV. It's not just to buy a boat. It's not just to buy classic cars like what I do all the time. It could be to put your kids through school, as Bill mentioned. It could be to put an addition on your own home. It could be to help, a family member. It could be for whatever different reason. One of the best things is having these options available to us as investors, understanding how this works and making these strategies essentially our own bank. These are our finance strategies. Instead of going to the bank and asking for a loan, we are in control of our own destiny. We can decide, I need X amount of dollars and I need to do X amount of these types of deals in order to accomplish that. Let's talk about, though, different markets have different strategies available to them. There are markets like Southern California, for example, and I hope you didn't freeze up on me there, Bill. Southern California that has cash flow strategies, but they're not going to cash flow as well as, say, another market. So in Southern California, you might want to focus on something else, perhaps flips. I did lose you, didn't I?
Nope.
No, you're frozen up. So we're going to pause this for 1 second while we get that fixed. All right, we had a little bit of technical issues, but I think we're back now. Let's talk about some of the necessities of the market that drive investors' choices for their strategies. What, in your opinion, are some of those?
Well, anytime you look at, like we've had many discussions about the Cleveland market, that's not a great flip market. That's a great cash flow market. So all markets have a part of the market or have a strategy that drives that particular market. Here in the Dallas-Fort Worth market, we are a flip market. Some of that has to do with the fact that there's a lot of turnover that happens here because we're growing, as is Florida, growing like crazy. So the real estate market's very strong. When you look at a market like a Detroit or a Cleveland, where there's not a lot of growth, and typically it may even be shrinking from a job standpoint, that's going to be more cash flow. And then you're going to look at, where am I getting that cash flow from? Now, we have a very strong liking of the Section 8 market because we know that market, we know how to play that market, and it's a great market to be in. So that, and if you look at the possibilities, now I'm not going to talk about the election per se, but what I am going to talk about is we did this a little bit a month or two ago, where we talked about whichever side won, how would that affect, and how could that possibly affect the real estate market? Well, if Trump ends up being the winner, then we think the real estate market is going to be very strong through 2021 or into the fourth quarter, and then it's going to change. However, if Biden wins, then I think we're going to see an economic downturn instantly. All
bets are off for sure. And it's not just real estate. It's going to be across the board, unfortunately. So
now, there's a part of that fits into our strategies. And the part of that is, when that happens, because Biden is a Democrat, which is typically way in favor of big government, more and more, you can never have too much government on that side of the ticket. So what's going to happen is there will be more and more people that will be put out of business because there's a very strong possibility that we'll go into another lockdown. And all of that drives people to having to be on welfare, having to take some kind of subsidy, which plays right into the Section 8 market. So there's going to be a great movement forward for real estate investors. Either way, whether Trump wins or whether Biden wins, there's going to be great movement forward. It's just going to be different. And so we have to take a look at, if I am preparing myself for the future, then I want to look at, all right, what markets do I want to be in if Biden wins? What markets do I want to be in if Trump wins? And what are the strategies for those markets? And if you know that and you're paying attention to that, then it doesn't frighten you, at least from a business standpoint, as to who's going to win. It doesn't matter. It's just a shift in our business. That's why we talk about constantly, especially with new people, letting them know that the real estate market is always good. It's just not all of the market is always good, but there's a segment of the market that's always performing well. If you understand the market in total, then you can shift your business from, and that's your business focus, from one piece of the market that now is no longer in favor over to this other piece of the market that is in favor, because again, it's like the balance scales. If one side is in favor, another side is going to be out of favor, and then it's going to go back and forth. If I know both of these strategies, and there's multiple, but if I know both of these strategies, it doesn't matter that this side has gone down. I'm going to spend more time here. And as the market changes, now I'm going to spend more time here.
And you bring up a good point that I want to jump into as soon as we get back from this break.
Great. Hang around and we'll get Kev on the section 3 of the Investor Guys podcast when we come back. Thanks for listening.
See you in a minute.
Get ready for power, for success, for solutions and answers. It's all in one place. www.reallykevin.com. Education, opportunities, coaching, and so much more.
Thank you for watching the Investor Guys podcast.
Live the resort lifestyle every day with Cayman K. The perfect pieces for every wardrobe. Shop the entire Cayman K collection and find your favorites. Find all our styles at CaymanK.com.
Absolution X. Limited editions. Seek your absolution. Lifestyle apparel like no other. Only at absolutionx.com.
And we are back for the last segment of our show. And, Bill brought up some good points on the last segment. As the market changes, and again, we're looking at a presidential election when we're doing this show. If Biden wins, we are looking at a market that could be drastically affected by lockdowns. And we're talking about an economy that's going to be drastically affected by lockdowns as well. Now, as real estate investors, there are absolutely ways that we can take advantage of this, but you also have to prepare yourself, because as the economy changes, our cash flow, our cash movement around us, not necessarily with our investments, but our cash movement around us changes as well. So if we are focused on using OPM, for example, we need to make sure that our OPM sources are going to be resilient to the economic changes around us. If we are using our own cash flow, if we are using our income from our job, for example, that may be something that is affected as well, that we need to also change, because that could literally change. Your boss gives you a call and says, I'm sorry, this Biden economy is killing me and I got to let you go. Your situation is entirely changed. So getting ready for the strategy that you want is also key to the type of strategy that you're going to use. In a situation like this, where you have no income of your own, you may be dependent upon an OPM strategy. OPM strategies lend themselves more to certain types of investment strategies more than others. It's easier to find an OPM strategy for, say, flips, because our investor is going to be able to cash out a lot quicker than, say, on a cash flow, where we have to show them that they're going to make more money if they wait for 3 years or if they wait for 5 years. So a lot of those factors have to play in when we are considering the strategies that we want to use. And looking at our near future is a good indicator of how those different things work. I see you nodding in agreement, Bill, and I know you want to interject something there.
Well, I just absolutely in agreement with that. You take a look at how does the cash flow requirements that my family has fit into the strategy that I need that fits in with what's going on in my market. And always we're going to stress to you that you get a broad education in the market, in the real estate market. Because if you're honed in on one thing only, and Kevin and I both have things that we focus on, as you will have, but it's not the only thing that we know how to do. And there are times that our focus gets taken away from what we consider to be our primary direction in investing because of changes in the market. Whether that change be political, whether it be economic, doesn't matter. There are changes that happen, and I have to be able to move my business quickly to an adjusted strategy so I'm not out of business. It's like the flipper that buys a house, gets a great deal, and then they don't go out and look at anything else. They stay focused on, well, now that I got this, I need to make sure, I want to make sure all this is done correctly, and I understand how to do all this stuff. So I'm going to be over here every day. And it's crazy because it kills their business instead of going out immediately and looking for the next property for them to flip. And so, yeah, that's the only thing I wanted to interject there on that was you're gonna have changes that happen in your business. This is a fluid business. And I'll interject a quick story here. I've been asked for years, are there certain types of people that do better in the real estate investing world than others? And for years and years and years and years, I would say, no, anybody can learn this. Anybody can be successful in this. And that is a true statement. However, here's an asterisk by it. There are certain types of people that are more predisposed to be successful in real estate. People like that have military backgrounds, that have law enforcement backgrounds, that have medical backgrounds, that have athletic backgrounds. Because this is a fluid business, it's a little bit messy. People that are engineers and CPAs a lot of times have a hard time with this business because it doesn't always add up perfectly. It's just not always square for an engineer. You can't look at this and say, here's how it starts, here's how it ends. So you got to have a little fluidity in you to make this thing work.
And drive. I mean,
Perfect.
the positions that you mentioned are all positions that are driven and motivated. And if somebody had asked me that same question, and they do all the time, I say, you know what? The people who do the best are the people who have the drive, the people who have the motivation, and the people who don't have a singular focus. Because you have to, just like any other investment, you have to hedge your investment with other strategies. If you are a one-trick pony and your market changes to where that trick is no longer going to put money in your pocket, then you are out of luck. Yeah, you're out to pasture if you're that one-trick pony. Have different strategies that you can rely on that can support your other strategies while you are lighter in one particular category or another. So we hit this whole coronavirus lockdown and a lot of people stopped paying their rent. Most of my renters are Section 8. That wasn't a situation for me. But let's say that you are in that situation where most of your renters were not paying their rent anymore. You only have cash flow properties. Now you're suffering for an income. What was your hedge against that? Do you have any flips that you can do to keep your head above water while your tenants aren't paying their rent? Are there any wholesale deals that you can do to keep your head above water while your tenants aren't paying your rent? So have more than one strategy that you're working, have more than one strategy that you can work, and ideally have some backups that are already in play, that are already working, that will support you if something changes. Now, I don't want to sound like I'm bragging about Section 8, because you know what? With a pen stroke, somebody could take Section 8 away. And I've got all these Section 8 units now that I have to find somebody. It probably won't happen, but I'm giving you a hypothetical. Somebody wipes all those off. I have to figure out how to get rent from people who are now used to not paying rent, but I'm not going to sink because I have other strategies that I am employing at the same time that will bring me cash flow. I've got commercial properties that are bringing in cash flow. I've got vacation properties that are going to bring in cash flow. So I've got different things that will keep me from drowning. I may not be able to support the lifestyle that I'm used to and the investment lifestyle that I'm used to, but at least I'm not going to drown. So a lot of those things need to come into play when you're picking strategies. Don't just pick one strategy, pick multiple strategies. Now we're getting kind of long on this segment, so we'll go ahead and wrap up. Any final thoughts, Bill?
Nope.
All
Be
right.
flexible. Be fluid. Be flexible.
Yes. I use the example of a diamond. When you look at a diamond, when it first comes out of the ground, it's just a rock. It's just a clear rock. The jeweler puts it up against a hard surface. And the more times he puts it up against a hard surface, he creates another facet. The more facets that rock has, the more brilliant, the more shiny, the more valuable it is. Consider yourself that diamond. Put yourself up against those hard surfaces. Make as many different facets as you possibly can, and you will become that shiny, brilliant diamond. All right. You're a shiny, brilliant diamond there, Bill, for sure.
Right back at you, brother. Right back at you.
Thank you for joining us. Yes. And we will see you again soon for another episode of the Investor Guys podcast.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Bill. Happy investing.
You too, sir.
Thank you for tuning in to the Investor Guys podcast. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. Don't forget to subscribe and stay updated on the latest trends and insights in the world of real estate investing. Also, don't forget to check us out and see all of our episodes at theinvestorguyspodcast.com. Email us, contact@investorguyspodcast.com. Remember, the key to financial success lies in staying informed and taking action. Stay tuned for our next episode, and until then, happy investing.